Alright guys, so welcome to AmirStocksLive, where I basically go over every weekend what's going to happen next week, what happened last week, and things to watch out for in terms of any earnings reports, any economic news that might be significant, and whatever else that might really be relevant to us as we go into our Monday. So looking right here, first things first, we're basically just seeing a lot of recap for last week. So what happened, right? Spread between technology heavy Nasdaq 100 and small cap Russell 2000 continues to expand as investors focus on the relative safety they perceive large caps can offer. However, not all tech stocks are doing well as investors avoid those not growing revenues, and not many had such wonderful revenues. In fact, the revenue wasn't exactly what everybody kind of wanted it all to be. So it is definitely a bit of a problem, for sure. Why, we don't know. There's a lot of things that kind of died out, a lot of things that didn't really succeed as much as we had hoped it would. um, AI, for example, is one of the big ones that's kind of just falling apart, right? So without AI, there's not much to a lot of the businesses that are out there. This week's 25 report showed outperformance relative to the indexes, and yes, of course, if we look at my master list, so real quick we can jump to it. This is basically the list of top stocks that I trade when they're having good volume. Things really went. In fact, right now we already have open AVGO, which flew big time. So I played calls on it from about right here to up there. It fell back down, so I got more, and then I sold it somewhere around here. So the numbers that I recall, I bought first at 2.3, I bought again at 1, and then I sold it all at around 3. This went to 17. All right, these contracts went to $17 each. It was freaking insane. Nasty day for AVGO. It's one of my favorite stocks to do any of these option plays on. But even others, Meta did great. Netflix, you can see it all. It was a really, really green close to Friday. And another thing is that if it's a weak bull day, usually you'll have a bit of a run and then things will die by like midday, by 12. But no, we saw more even like after hours, an hour into the end of the market, things were still flying, and SPY shattered through many of my resistances, as you can see right here, right? So we're now hitting that 441 resistance, which is where SPY has kind of simmered down, and most likely as we go into Monday, we're gonna have even more action on this, right? So it's a pretty bullish day for that 434 support to really kick in once again. 434 has continued to be a very powerful support point where, even as you can see, Thursday we had the exact opposite, a very sinking type of a red day, but 434 held on and 434 buyers came in, right? So the bull power is all in on that aspect of things. Coming back to what we were looking at, uh, recent initial public offering ARM Holdings, Klaviyo, and Instacart all failed. And again, IPO market is kind of what shows you how the New York Stock Exchange is really doing. I mean, imagine your big day on Wall Street, right? You're doing your IPO, you smash the button, you announce your stock, and then it starts sinking. And it's just not a good feeling, and it kind of brings out a really significant show that no one's really looking to invest into anything new, right? People are looking for stocks that are kind of already out there, that are something that's already made a name for themselves, or have something very significant to put out, dish out on the table. Um, it was a big week for media and entertainment news and corporate shakeups. The strike ended for a lot of directors, so that was another thing. Rough week for popular stocks among retail, like energy stocks, Fisker, Robinhood. All of these had terrible earnings, and they're just not doing anything impressive or innovative, and it's kind of unfortunate for them. But all in all, you can see here S&P 500, Nasdaq, and Dow Jones look okay. Russell down, right? Russell 2000, not exactly the best day for it. What were some key things this weekend? Well, cyber attack keeps Australian ports offline. Huge issue. Cyber attacks continue to be a pending problem for all over. The last big cyber attack news was what was happening in Vegas, where casinos were being taken over. The country is still assessing the logistical impact of a cyber attack that's paralyzed several of its biggest ports since Friday, expecting interruptions to continue for several more days. This is going to impact a lot of trade, a lot of resources, and that's kind of what we're watching out for here. Polestar bets on new tech to spur EV demand. Swedish EV company showcased its vision for the future this week, saying that new tech and next generation cars will spark sales and spur a new era of growth for the company. Now, I will say though, when EVs first came out, there was quite a drive for it. Everyone was really excited about it. Tesla was like the leading thing, but Tesla is no longer the leading thing in terms of EV. Now it's just really special for its automatic driving aspect of things. But nowadays, lately, if you follow any car Instagram channels or YouTube channels or anything where they talk about updated cars, EVs are no longer the thing. People are still dying for that engine, that sound. You could see the distaste for EVs when the Rolls-Royce Spectre was just announced, right? An EV Rolls-Royce. Now that's like as classy and expensive and fancy as a car can really get, and no one wanted it to be an EV, right? No one wanted to see the EV version of it. Things like Lamborghini and Ferrari are never really going to offer an EV version of things. And again, batteries for EVs are not really doing that well, right? It's not that sustainable of a thing. It's not that safe of a thing. It's just not good in terms of usability and dependability. And we have a long way to go until batteries for EVs can really do what gas for us does right now. Um, Tumblr scales back site after a failed turnaround attempt. A leaked memo by Automatic CEO Matt Mullenweg says that the majority of Tumblr's non-support safety and moderation staff will switch to other divisions, which basically means a lot of firing is going to happen, right? So, in terms of websites that went away, I think personally the biggest hit to me was Omegle. Omegle is no longer there. Omegle.com is there. It's gone now. And if you never used Omegle, it was basically a website where you could just randomly be in a video call with someone else somewhere around the world, right? In the beginning, it was used for what the internet was meant to be, which is meeting random people, showing off random skills. Even nowadays, some TikTokers would be on Omegle, where if you opened Omegle and you matched with that TikToker, they might want to show you something they can do on the violin, or some kind of magic trick, or some kind of artistic thing where they try to draw you. These were the things the internet was really made for, but unfortunately, pedophiles and pervs and mentally ill people have kind of taken over, and it's gone too far, right? So it's just too much disgusting and nasty stuff happening that made it far more unsafe as opposed to safe or usable. And Omegle basically had to close down. Looking at the economic calendar this coming week, Monday we have a Fed cook speech right after open, 9:50 a.m. So I don't imagine this is going to be too impactful. Tuesday, nothing significant. The consumer price index information is going to come out right at open. So you'll see SPY and most of the stocks, doing right at open as soon as this information and opening happens. This is going to be continued again on the 15th as well. A couple other numbers coming out, but it'll all be over by 11:30. So in terms of trading, like if you really want to be safe, you could wait till 11:30 or 12 to get into a play and just watch where things are going until then. On the 16th, a few more numbers, and then 17th, Fed daily speech. Now, to be honest, compared to most of the weeks that we've passed by so far, this is an extremely light week in terms of Fed speeches, interest rate drama, or any of that significant market shaking information. So personally, I feel like we have a bit of a bull run going. It'll probably continue on Monday, so just be careful and watch out for that. In terms of earnings, we see Sundial. Sundial weed stock was one of my first few stocks I made a big income on. Fisker is going to be here as well. On Tuesday, we see, I guess, Hut 8 Mining is probably going to have pretty good earnings, given that crypto's been flying, and Hut 8 is a crypto thing, a crypto stock. Home Depot is here too, so I'd be curious to see how that goes. There's many ways to play earnings, right? You could gamble on it and try to buy a call or put before the earning occurs, which is not the way to go, because again, I could tell you by experience, there's no guaranteed way of knowing where an earning is going to go. A company could have really good news and sink because investors decide, oh, whatever I invested for has finally occurred, let me take my money out. And a company can have really bad news and fly because they'll be like, oh, great, it sank, let's buy some now. Or they gave bad news and had a pullback, let's buy some now. So it's really not safe to do that. My personal way of doing it, if it's a cheaper stock, you could buy shares, and at least that way you don't lose money. If it sinks, you just buy more when it sinks, and you're good to go when it comes back. Um, for Wednesday, I'll be watching Sonos and Palo Alto. Palo Alto is actually on my list. It's part of my master list. Let me see. PLTO. Yeah, here we go. PANW. Right. So Palo Alto had a big spike and then just held onto that level. You know, it flew pretty quickly. Before noon, it was already at 253, and pretty much ended the day around there too. So that's something that I'll definitely be watching. It's been having a pretty good run, pretty solid run. I'd love to see it go above the 265.9 and fly forward. So what I personally like doing with earnings is I'll just watch for the earning to occur, see how people react, what was the news, etc., and then join everyone after the earnings numbers are out, and you know all the volatility is gone. Another one I'll be watching is Cisco. A couple years ago, Cisco had bad earnings and it sank big time. But then the next morning, I bought calls for it because it was flying, and they were really cheap calls, and they went from like 10 cents to 55 cents, and it was freaking bomb. They went more than that, but I remember 10 and 55 because that's where I bought and sold it. And that was a very long time ago, but it continues to do similar things. So I'll be watching Cisco as well. On Thursday, of course, Baba, Walmart, Macy's, these are all going to be big. Now, this is showing you a lot of those, you know, retail, consumer type of stores, even Ross, Gap, right? So if they all do really bad, that's going to suck for the market. It's not going to look too good. We have to be watching for that. And of course, Friday, we top it off with BJ's. So personally, I would assume they're going to do pretty well. Their earnings are going to be good. Their numbers are going to be good. Their sales are going to be good. Everything, because there's just no reason for it to not be. But we'll just have to wait and see. And you know that's generally it for now. And then I'll see you guys on Monday when I get live to trade.